Eyewitness News at 10 is next. Tonight, hundreds are missing and 26 known dead after a ferry boat capsized in the English Channel. We'll have the latest on the ongoing rescue efforts. And in the northern suburbs, a man is found dead with 2 bombs attached to his body, forcing the evacuation of nearby residents.
Also coming up, the Great Chicago Fire, just one of the historical moments being remembered as the city celebrates its 150th birthday. We'll have a special report. Plus, one of the heroes of the new movie Hoosiers is on the courts for real tonight in Chicago. Those stories and much more next on Eyewitness News.
Robert Hayes is scandalous, late night Saturday. This is Eyewitness News with John Drury and Marianne Childers. Jerry Taft for Steve Dessler on weather, Tim Weigel with sports, and the Eyewitness News team. This is Eyewitness News.
Good evening. Tragedy on the English Channel tonight. A ferry boat has capsized in the icy waters off Belgium. Rescue crews have managed to save 300 people, but at least 30 passengers are known dead, and another 200 are still missing, many of them trapped underwater in the hull of the ferry. The stricken ferry boat, the Herald of Free Enterprise, remains lying on its side at the entrance of the Zeebrugge harbor off the coast of Belgium.
Well, all I know is I was in the main cabin near the duty-free shop, and the ship just suddenly started to tilt a little bit, and we thought it was going to sort of stabilise itself, and then it went a little bit more, and then it just suddenly went, and I just went flying across. I couldn't do anything.
Despite a dramatic rescue operation which has saved at least 300 lives, it's feared that dozens of people are trapped below deck, and others have drowned in the icy waters.
By helicopter, we went down in the ship, and it's incredible to see what happened. People are drowning in the ice-cold water. We tried to get them out. It's a terrible thing. It's very hard to describe.
Rescuers from 4 nations are working into the night with helicopters, boats, and diving teams. Victims already plucked from the sea have been given warm blankets and coffee. Many have been placed on buses and taken to hospitals. But despite the immediate care, the scene on shore for survivors is a combination of chaos, confusion, and concern as they search for their loved ones and companions who are unaccounted for. One woman passenger describes terrifying moments in the water watching her son float away.
Trapped in the corridor, my little boy floated away from my husband. I've lost my husband and got my little boy.
The vessel was bound for Dover when it toppled over. There are conflicting reports on what caused the accident. One is that the ferry hit a harbor wall. The other blames the catastrophe on a bow door that suddenly burst open, allowing gushing water into the car deck. Tonight, almost 10 hours after the tragic accident, a British Coast Guard spokesman says hopes of finding any more missing passengers are fading fast. Marianne?
Police in the northern suburbs tonight are investigating the unusual case of a man who was found dead with 2 bombs strapped to his body. As Diane Burns reports, the incident forced the temporary evacuation of nearby residents.
The bomb squad carted away leftover materials tonight from 2 homemade pipe bombs, constructed sheriff's police say by Brett Stevens, a man with a history of drug abuse and suicide threats, born out of loneliness.
Young man was on the floor, has a plastic bag around his head. Oh, there was some sort of a bomb device present, as well as a tank of some gas.
Before the 27-year-old unemployed painter killed himself, he mounted the explosive booby trap on a wooden contraption. His mother discovered the bizarre setup when she came looking for Stevens after 4 days. Police detonated the bombs after the booby trap failed.
His intentions were that the candle was to ignite the string, which would have split the spring and set the explosive device off.
What went wrong?
It appears that it didn't burn all the way through as he intended.
About 30 of the trailers in the Sunset Mobile Home Park were evacuated. Residents here tonight say they aren't shocked that Stevens would carry out such a desperate, violent act.
Well, it's kind of sad, because people did try to befriend him, but he wouldn't talk to anybody.
So you're not shocked by it?
No.
Residents are back home here tonight as sheriff's police continue to investigate why Stevens would kill himself and also endanger his neighbors' lives. In unincorporated Northfield, Diane Burns, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
On the near west side of Chicago tonight, police are investigating a double murder that's apparently drug-related. A man and a woman were discovered dead in an apartment building at Harrison and Loomis. Their throats had been slashed. Police are questioning a suspect at this hour, but so far no charges have been filed. At the DuPage County Courthouse today, a 25-year-old woman who'd filed battery charges against a Chicago man suddenly drew a pistol and shot the man, wounding him in the buttocks. It happened in a hallway just outside of the courtroom. Brenda Jones then fled into the parking lot where she was arrested. Roberts tonight is listed in fair condition. The woman was charged with aggravated battery and armed violence. Police are still trying to figure out how she got that weapon past security guards.
Marianne, a rally was held on the west side tonight in support of 27th Ward Alderman Wallace Davis. Davis is in jail awaiting trial on charges that he beat his former secretary. The key point made by speakers at tonight's rally concerned next week's city council vote on a proposed $1 million community development block grant. At issue whether Davis will be released to cast his vote.
If Wallace is not there, it means that some people will have been denied, for whatever the reason, their right to representation.
Davis has been a solid member of Mayor Washington's council majority, and his vote is considered vital for passage of the block grant. Attorneys for Alderman Davis go before the judge on Monday morning to petition for the alderman's release, but similar requests have already been denied twice. Marianne?
A battle is underway between Mayor Washington and two of his challengers concerning that public debate. Mayor Washington says he will not participate in a debate unless Ed Verdoliak and Tom Hines sign affidavits vowing to stay in the race until the end. Verdoliak says yes, he'll sign it, but he charges that Washington is afraid of public debate.
He can't run from his record. He can't hide from his record. And I'm going to bring it out throughout this entire campaign. He's wrong by doing this. He's playing games, and he's afraid.
Yeah, I'm very afraid of him. I'm just shivering in my boots. Every time I walk by and see his picture, I just go, yep. So you take that back to the guy who says I'm afraid to debate him and tell him to stuff it.
Meantime, first Chicago candidate Tom Hines tonight campaigned at a pre-St. Patrick's Day party sponsored by the Lakeview Chamber of Commerce. Earlier today, Hines said he's willing to send a letter to the League of Women Voters assuring them that he's in the mayor's race to stay. But he would not make a similar assurance to Mayor Washington as a prerequisite for any debate. And earlier tonight, Republican candidate Don Hyder was at the same party, where he said that he welcomes the endorsement he received today from Governor Jim Thompson. Hyder said that he thinks it would be a good idea if all of the candidates sign affidavits guaranteeing that they're going to stay in the mayor's race. John?
Well, next the Pope has requested the release of the Turkish terrorist who tried to kill him and a special look back at what helped make Chicago a world-class city.
Leads to new marvels and attractions which make the
The Turkish terrorist who tried to kill Pope John Paul II may be given an Italian presidential pardon. Mehmet Ali Aka, shown here during a visit in his cell with the Pope back in 1983, is currently serving a life sentence for the assassination attempt. But now reports say Italy's president is likely to yield to a request by the Pope himself that the terrorist be freed. The pontiff has already forgiven Aka 3 times, publicly. At the White House, President Reagan, as he was leaving for a weekend at his Camp David retreat, revealed that he's sending Secretary of State George Shultz to Moscow next month for talks on a new U.S.-Soviet nuclear arms pact. The announcement followed briefings with his top arms control negotiators and brightens the prospects for another superpowers summit.
Well, this week marks the start of Chicago's 150th birthday celebration. Tonight, in the second part of her special salute, Joan Esposito recalls some of the events and images that say Chicago to people around the world.
The wonders of the future and technical marvels of the present were displayed along the lakefront at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. But Chicago's reputation was established 40 years earlier at the Columbian Exposition.
It made Chicago, to use today's cliche, a world-class city. As one writer put it, all the world came to Chicago. You had 27 million people come here.
They saw the world's first Ferris wheel and many grand-scale classical buildings, some built by companies like General Electric to show off the newest scientific miracle, electricity. The Museum of Science and Industry began life as the Palace of Fine Arts at the Columbian Exposition, a World's Fair that was all the more remarkable because it came just 2 decades after the city was virtually wiped out by a fire that's become legend. It really did start here, the barn behind Patrick O'Leary's southwest side house on DeCoven Street. For 24 hours, the city burned. An eyewitness described it this way. The air was filled with falling cinders. It looked like a snowstorm lit by colored fire. The storm of falling fire seemed to increase every second. I saw a woman kneeling in the street with a crucifix, the skirt of her dress burning while she prayed.
To some extent, people blame Chicago's immorality for the fire. It was a wide open city. It was a city in which there were very few regulations on anything, on building, on political corruption, on crime, and it was sort of a marketplace in terms of crime.
The marketplace of crime became a marketplace of goods and services. Slaughterhouses made Chicago hog butcher to the world. The Pullman Company made its train cars here. The crossroads town that grew up where the lake meets the river was once again proving itself a major trade center. And the water that drew the first settlers may be the key to Chicago's future growth.
Water, believe it or not, I think in the next century is going to be like oil. It will be an important factor in the economic health of this region. It will be a lure for corporations and families and others to move back into this region.
Joan Esposito, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And the city will be holding a big birthday bash tomorrow night at Navy Pier. Tickets for the event are sold out, but you can see some of the festivities right here on Channel 7 tomorrow night from 7 to 8. And that program will be hosted by our own Marianne Childers and Joel Daly. Marianne?
We invite you to join us for the Grand Wabano. Well, 70 degrees in March, yeah, it could happen tomorrow. Jerry Taft is next with the details. Also, two superstars battle it out at the stadium tonight. The details on the matchup coming up in sports.
Why is Mother Nature being so kind? Why is she doing this?
Should we question it?
It's
Jerry,
beautiful
why?
out there, isn't it?
It really
Great.
is.
Like they say in the beer commercial, it doesn't get any better than this, John.
It doesn't.
Actually, it does. I think tomorrow we get up to 70 degrees. We have bright sunshine, and it should also be nice Sunday. However, late Sunday, about 6, 7 o'clock at night, it looks like we'll have a shift to the northeast with the winds, and it will cool off Sunday night. But Saturday, certainly the better of the two weekend days, with 70 degrees expected tomorrow. Let's take a look at the satellite photo now, and you can see not much happening around the Midwest. Clear skies. Here's a look at today's high temperatures. 79 degrees in Huron, South Dakota, record high 60 degrees in International Falls, 77 in Champaign, and here in Chicago we had a high of 67 after a morning low of 29, so the temperature went up 38 degrees during the day. Normal high 40, so we were 27 degrees above normal. Right now 46 at O'Hare, 50 at Midway, 52 at the lakefront. We've lost our lake breeze. The wind is now out of the south at 6 miles an hour, and the barometer holding steady. Look at Florida. Boy, there's a lot of airline tickets coming up to Chicago for the weekend, because in Florida it will be cloudy, rainy, and temperatures right around 70 for them also. You can also see clouds out to the west with a weather system out there where they also have some rain showers expected, but certainly no rain expected in Chicago's forecast through the weekend. As the record warmth pours in, we should break our record tomorrow. The old record is 65 degrees, and we should bust that by at least 4 or 5 degrees. Once again, here's what it looked like across the nation. Huron, South Dakota, I hate to keep pointing this out, but 79 in Huron and 71 in Miami today. Quite a switch. Now tomorrow we have bright sunshine, rain down in Florida, rain out to the west, and our temperatures right around 70. Now you see this little cold front during the day tomorrow. On Sunday, that front moves closer to us with temperatures in the 40s behind it, but it won't be in until Sunday night, but certainly Saturday looks like the better of the two weekend days. We could get a lake breeze late in the day on Sunday. Let's take a look at the forecast. First of all, for tonight, hazy skies, mild, a light south wind, and an overnight low near 40 degrees. Then for tomorrow, sunshine, record warmth with a high of 70 degrees on a southwest wind. The 5-day outlook shows 68 degrees on Sunday, and then a rapid cooling Sunday night, Monday 52 with a little rain, 48 and sunny Tuesday and Wednesday. So out of the next 5 days, tomorrow is the best of the next 5.
You know, Jerry, we could get spoiled.
No,
This
we
kind
could.
of weather.
No, we could.
Yes, we could.
Keep it coming.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Do we thank El Nino for this, do we?
No.
No. Just a gift from Mother Nature. All right. In our report on the rally held for Alderman Wallace Davis, we incorrectly identified Alderman Danny Davis as Alderman Ed Smith. We know better. Marianne?
Well, he missed today's game, but Andre Dawson will soon be sporting a Cubs uniform. That story's coming up. And we'll talk to a down-home Indiana basketball player about going Hollywood.
One of the stars of the hot new movie Hoosiers has deep basketball roots in Indiana. Tonight he was on the courts for real in Chicago, competing with his college team in an NCAA tournament. Paul Meinke has the story.
Steve Hollar is a freshman guard at Indiana's DePauw University. He's also something of a movie star. Steve Hollar is one of the actors in Hoosiers, the phenomenally successful new movie about character and winning and a basketball tradition that only Indiana knows. Steve had no acting experience before Hoosiers, but knew the part. He led his high school to an Indiana state championship. Today, though, in college, Steve rides the bench, a position he's not terribly fond of.
It's tough from the sense that, like you say, maybe you get a lot of limelight and then people will come to the games and say, you know, why isn't he playing? But I just have to understand that in high school and essentially with the movie, I mean, I had to pay a certain price to get where I was. So, I mean, I feel like I have to pay the same kind of price for DePauw basketball.
Steve paid a price for acting, too. He was paid $15,000 for his part, and for that, the NCAA suspended him for 3 games. Something Steve's not happy about, but at least the Hoosiers' money will help pay his tuition. And there's always that glory of seeing yourself forever on the silver screen.
How many times have you seen it?
Probably 9 or 10.
You're just as good all 9 times, too.
I'm not sure.
Steve is now a card-carrying member of the Actors Guild and says he'd gladly take another part if one comes along, but the part he really wants to play is out here on the floor. And with several seniors graduating next year, Steve Hollar may get a chance to replay his basketball dreams. Paul Meinke, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Unfortunately, and Tim won't be telling you this in sports, things in real life don't always go like they do in the movie. Steve Hollar's team lost tonight's game to Illinois Wesleyan.
I can't believe they fined him.
I can't either.
Terrible.
Seems unfair, doesn't it?
We'll have even more basketball action next with Tim Weigel. Yeah, it does. The big name in sports tonight is Andre Dawson.
The first significant free agent to change teams outside of Ray Knight. The Cubs have got Andre Dawson, a 1-year deal with $500,000 guaranteed. If Dawson stays off the disabled list, he'll get another $150,000. If he makes the All-Star game, he'll get another $50,000. Any way you slice it, $700,000, a big pay cut from the $1 million that Dawson made last year with Montreal. His agent, Dick Moss, had ticked Dallas Green off coming to the Cub camp and putting on what Green called a dog and pony show. Moss offered a contract with a salary blank, said the Cubs could fill in the amount. Green thought about it, filled in the amount, and when Moss accepted, Dallas said the dog and pony show made the difference.
Dick Moss and Andre came forward with a unique proposal and put the ball back in our court. They gave us basically a blank contract, said fill it in and we'll play for you. I think the conversation I had with Andre face to face convinced me that he wasn't. He was very, very serious about playing in Wrigley Field and playing for Chicago.
And he's going to certainly help the Cubs. And Jack Brickhouser's back in front of the mic. He'll do his first telecast Sunday since retiring in '81. He's subbing for Harry Carey until Harry recovers from his stroke. And Jack wants it to be a short comeback.
Because somebody they love is ill. On the other hand, I have to say that I accept it as a temporary assignment. I hope it's the most temporary assignment I've ever had. I'd love to have the man walk into the booth in the first inning of the first game we do.
Well, Harry's a little doubtful for opening day, but the Cubs look ready. Ryan Sandberg tagging Brian Clutterbuck, scoring Rick Sutcliffe, who pitched 3 strong innings, only 1 unearned run in those 3 innings. He scored a run, and the Cubs won 10-7. An intense game at the stadium. Michael Jordan with an off night. He had 27 points. He was virtually scoreless in the second and third quarter. That's Mike Ditka and Diana watching. Jordan didn't have his best game, but he still had some of those spectacular moves. And speaking of spectacular, look at this shot at the end of the half. Rory Sparrow. Wow, and that actually wound up making the difference, that 3-pointer at the buzzer, because the Bulls had a chance to win with 1 second to go. Jawan Oldham rejects Michael Jordan. One last shot by Paxson, no good, and the Bulls lose a real heartbreaker by 1. Because it was heartbreaker because Philadelphia beat Washington. The Bulls could have moved up in the playoff hunt. Milwaukee lost and Dallas lost to Detroit. Dallas comes in next. Boston over the Clippers, and Atlanta beat New Jersey. And we have a Sting score. The Sting 5-3 over Los Angeles. Karl-Heinz Granitza 2 goals, and Batata's now scored in 31 straight games. Here's a halftime shot at the end of the game. Actually, Georgia's Dennis Williams with a 35-footer as they beat Ole Miss 65-63 in the Southeast Conference tournament, and they go nuts down there in Georgia. Even the mascot gets in on the action. a great moment. In tournament action at Evanston High School, Javon McGarry 24 points for the Evanston Wildcats, who beat Tom Myers' Niles West team, and now they'll meet St. Viator, which beat Rolling Meadows tonight. Here's some college score for you. North Carolina over Maryland, Wake Forest upset Clemson, Georgetown a winner, UCLA got by Arizona State, Texas A&M upset TCU, Syracuse a winner, Pittsburgh over Seton Hall, and Cleveland State knocked off Illinois Chicago. Now, as we showed you, Mike Ditka was at the stadium tonight to watch the Good News Bears play an exhibition game with the Packers. Now, having the coach on hand to pass out some money for charity gave Jim Rose a chance to ask the coach how he feels about all these changes in the front office, replacing his best friend, Jerry Venisi.
I think they did a good job. I really do, Jimmy. I think both people are good people, qualified people, and I think to me, it's important to work from within the organization. I think it's a good decision. I really do.
Well, I know that's music to your ears, John. Mike Ditka sounds happy.
He sure does. And we'll keep him that way all through the season, right to the Super Bowl, right?
Right, I hope so. That'd be great.
And that's our news this Friday night.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Good night.
Good night.